Hi everyone. This video is a book review about a children's book that I have been eyeing for a little bit over a year, but I didn't purchase it until recently. And the title of this children's book is My Hair is a Garden, and it's written and illustrated by Cosby A. Cabrera. This was published in 2018, and that was the year that I first saw it. I remember it came to the bookstore and we placed it in the bookshelf that featured children's books that were about natural hair, basically like loving your hair. My hair is beautiful. My hair is a crown. I love all of my hair. But this book in particular stood out amongst all the rest. Where the others had all the bright, flashy colors and they didn't really go in depth with how a person's hair could affect their self-esteem, this book truly did that. When I read it, I had so many flashbacks of my experiences with my hair as a child, but also the experiences of children that I've worked with natural hair. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the author, illustrator, and I'll try not to make the video long. I might get very passionate throughout this video, but it's worth it. So Cosby A. Cabrera has illustrated several acclaimed children's picture books, including Most Loved in All the World and Stitchin' and Pullin', which I believe is by Patricia McKissick. She received a BFA from Parsons School of Design and has worked as an art director, clothing designer, and maker of muñecas, cloth dolls that are collected all over the world. So I believe muñecas are like Spanish. A native of Brooklyn, New York, she lives with her family in Evanston, Illinois. So when you go to her site, which is www.cosby.com, which I will post in the description box below, you will see examples of her dolls. You'll also see examples of her illustrations. She was actually a former art director over Sony Music, which I'm like, what? This lady does everything. She also contributed an illustration to the book Our Children Can Soar, which is a collection of illustrations by various artists in honor of Barack Obama's election and Rosa Parks and other pioneers of change. She was also on Oprah as well. So this is a picture of her. I think she is an absolute goddess. When I first saw her picture, I was just so taken away. It was so breathtaking. She has the most gorgeous, richly melanated skin ever. She has a beautiful hairstyle and a beautiful flower. If I could have her image as a poster, I would put it in my room, honestly, and have like goddesses all around it. So about this book, when you open the book, you are greeted by beautiful illustrations of natural hair, but also elements of the garden and the tools that you use for natural hair or just for hair in general. So I like that. It's also on the other side. This story basically follows a little girl named Mackenzie, and she gets hair advice from her beautiful neighbor, Miss Tilly. And as I go through this book, I'm just going to show you like the illustrations that stood out to me, the parts of it that really stood out to me, and share my stories as I go along. So the first illustration is of Miss Tilly. And I'll show you another picture of Miss Tilly because I believe the author or the illustrator, she based Miss Tilly off of her own appearance, which I really like because she is a goddess. I don't know if she did that on purpose because, you know, as an artist, sometimes we will create characters and we don't realize that the characters look like us. I know I had an illustration of me and I didn't think anybody would know it was me, but they looked like, it is you. It has the hair and all of that and stuff like that. But I guess since we usually most of us have drawn ourselves a lot and we're looking at ourselves in the mirror. It just comes through our art. But anyway, the first illustration is of Miss Tilly. And it starts, I was always drawn to Miss Tilly's house. She lived 4 houses down and across the street from our house. So, Miss Tilly's house obviously stands out among all of the other houses. Why? Because her house has life. The other houses have the option to, I guess, showcase their own individuality, yet they don't do that. They're just stuck in the, I guess, perpetual sameness of the neighborhood. Whereas hers has a whole garden. Look at this. The house is a reflection of not only how she feels about herself, but also of the beauty that she surrounds herself with. So the next 2 illustrations, I'm going to go in depth with each of them because each illustration basically reminds me of what I went through and what the children I have known have gone through. So the second one says, I used to run right into her house when I was a toddler. And that's her. So when I was teased because of my hair again, it was no surprise that I found myself running right to Miss Tilly's after school. So look, baby, little girl, what happened between here and here? Here and here. There are so many things that these 2 illustrations are saying. Words cannot describe the 1,000 words that are in this picture that I can't even think of right now. So the first thing is the little girl running to Miss Tilly. I'm assuming that this is her mother. Yes, she's not running to her mother for comfort. She's running to Miss Tilly. I think she's running to Miss Tilly because not only is it a hair problem going on, I also believe there's a colorism problem going on. She might relate more to Miss Tilly because both of them are richly melanated. And the mother is probably one of those mothers like, I don't know what to do with her hair. In fact, that's mentioned in the book. Her mother says, I don't know what to do with her hair. So she's running towards somebody who is like a higher version of herself. So by the time she reaches this age, the shame has already set in. This illustration is the reason I bought this book. Back in 2011, I was about 22 years old. I worked at a summer camp, and there was a little girl who, in fact, looked almost exactly like this little girl in the book. And she was around the same age. And the little girl had synthetic braids that were down to her knees. And one day, she came to the camp wearing a hoodie. Now, mind you, it was like 100-degree weather outside. In fact, that whole week was 100-degree weather every single day. God, it was hot, and I loved it because I love the sun. So I'm looking at the child like, well, what's up with this hoodie? And her mother, who was also richly melanated like her, said, oh yeah, we took the braids out, and she's kind of embarrassed about her hair. Now, mind you, this child in particular was teased all the time. She was teased for being dark-skinned. She was teased because her hair was like tightly coiled. She was also teased because of her mother. So people were like, you're ugly, and your mama's ugly, and your hair is ugly. So she heard this all the time. That's why she had very low self-esteem and sometimes would be kind of mean to other people. So I said, take off your hoodie. She's like, no. I was like, take off your hoodie. She's like, no, I won't. I don't want anybody to see my hair. So I told her, okay, if you take off your hoodie now and you come to the camp tomorrow with no hoodie, I will give you $1. And she's like, really? And I was like, yes. So the next day comes, and I still feel halfway bad that I did this, but not really, because in the end it paid off. So the next day she comes with no hoodie, and she says, Miss Kiara, I don't have my hoodie on. See, no hoodie. Where's my $1? I was like, I don't have $1. You're just going to have to learn to love your natural hair. Your hair is beautiful. You have your ancestors' hair. Your ancestors were kings and queens and royalty, and they had hair just like you, and they just flaunted their hair everywhere. Did this little girl listen? No, she didn't. You know what she did? She cried for 2 hours. I'm not even joking. 2 hours non-stop crying. I felt so bad. But the next year, I saw her at the camp. She had no synthetic braids. She had none of anything else. It was just her natural hair. She was laughing and smiling. So she had learned to embrace her hair. But that illustration truly reminded me of that little girl, because if you're not covering it for, like, if you're not cold, if you're not having some religious purpose, usually, or if you're not trying to like protect your hair from the heat, usually it is you are having a bad hair day. But you can't just be having a bad hair day every day. Your hair texture, your hair pattern is not a bad hair day. So she runs to Miss Tilly. She's crying. And so we get even deeper into what has been going on. This is not just a one-time thing. This is a whole lifelong thing. Look, she says, it wasn't the first time my hair had been a joke. So right here, this is a baby. She's been judged about her hair since she was a little baby. She's in class with her hat on. But this page is the worst. So this boy named Julio, or whatever his name is, said, we all know Mac's hair is always a mess. Number one, who in the world is Mac? It is Mackenzie. But they're trying to make her more masculine because that's what people do. They're like, oh, she has short, kinky hair. She's not a real woman. Real women have long hair. I know this, I'm like reaching. It sounds like I'm reaching, but this is what would translate if they were in the adult world. Because he doesn't have to call her Mac. He said it like it was a fact. Like we all know the Statue of Liberty is surrounded by water, or we all know George Washington was the first president of the United States. So this is what's really fascinating about this picture. You have all of these different people who do and do not look like her, teasing her about her hair. I met a lot of young Black girls that were teased about their hair, not by people outside of their race, but people within their race, particularly Black boys or other Black girls. I'm not saying that it always happens, but I'm not surprised that it would happen. And that's basically what happened with me as a child. Like, in fact, my hair was treated 2 different ways because my mother sold hair products. And we would go to all the beauty shops and all the barber shops and all the beauty colleges in St. Louis and Indianapolis and Cleveland. So I'm focused on St. Louis. St. Louis, go to the beauty colleges. The beautician's like, oh, if I had your hair, I would be doing this. You have to press your hair. You have to use this on your hair. You have good hair. I didn't know what good hair was. I was like, but I don't understand. What is that? But you go to school. I go to school where there's like maybe 5 Black people. I remember I went to a school, there were 3 Black people, and I was the only girl. What happens when I'm at school? It's a whole different story. Now I have people touching my hair. Now I have people grabbing my hair. People saying, oh, your hair is weird. Your hair is weird. Your hair does this. Your hair does... It's just so weird. And I remember once in 2nd grade, my whole grade got lice except for me. And what did they say? They said, you didn't get lice because your hair is so greasy that the lice suffocated and died. Really? Really? No, because I washed my hair. I'm washing my hair, okay? I don't share combs like you're sharing combs, but it's that deep. So even though right here there's children making fun of her, I believe that behind the scenes there are also adults making fun of her. So she says, folks have been poking fun at my hair since I was little, I told Miss Tilly. Mama's tried to fix it, but the truth is she doesn't know what to do with it. So this line, this line also stood out to me because I have met mothers and other parents that literally don't know what to do with their child's hair. In fact, they have grown so impatient with their child's hair that they are making drastic decisions what to do with the hair without even asking what the child desires for his or her hair. I've met mothers that are like, oh, I just can't wait until she's transitioning so I can put a relaxer in her head because it's just hard keeping up with her hair. That's one thing I've heard. And then another one, even though it's natural, I've heard, oh, my child's hair is just getting too difficult, so I'm just going to get locks for her hair, and then I don't have to, or his hair, locks for his hair, so I don't have to deal with it, so it can just grow. Then the other one is like, oh, his hair is just getting out of control. Let me just cut it off. I can't take this anymore. Like, number one, did you ask the child what the child wanted to the hair, wanted done to his or her hair? Number two, just because you lack the patience that is needed to take care of the baby's hair, invest that money into somebody that will take their time. You have to think about the child's health. Some children don't want locks. Some children don't want their hair relaxed or texturized or flat ironed all of the time. You have to think about what, in the long run, what is a child's hair going to look like? There is a YouTuber, I don't know which YouTuber it was, but she was talking about a white mother that had a biracial child, and she was upset because her child didn't come out with like good hair. So she would flat iron the child's hair, get it straightened all the time. And now the child basically has heat damage, is limp as a teenager because the mother wanted her texture to be something that it was not naturally being. That's why this child's gravitating towards Miss Tilly, because at least Miss Tilly got some sense, okay? She said, I made a little song in my head. Miss Tilly's hair is shiny. Miss Tilly's hair is long. She wears it as a crown like beauty wrapped in song. So she's looking at a woman that I'm sure has a similar texture to her, but her hair is in perfect health and she wants to know what she's doing with it, of course. So Miss Tilly goes through the process of patiently taking her time to show this little girl how to care for her hair. She's showing her the different combs that she can use. She's showing her the different products that she can use. Something that our parents or our guardians should have shown us in the past, so we would be able to successfully care for our hair. But how can somebody who is confused teach you how to properly care for yourself without causing even more confusion? I didn't properly learn how to take care of my hair until I was 22. I think I was like 22 years old. Now I'll be 30 years old. So that was when my hair started to grow. In fact, I think I might add some pictures at the end of this video of a picture of from 2010 to 2011 of when I started to take care of my hair, and I had flat ironed it to show the length, to show how much it grew and how much it thickened. And then I'll also add another picture of my hair at the end of 2018 to show you how consistency and truly taking care of your hair and using the appropriate products that are good for both your hair and your physical body can affect how beautiful and how strong and healthy your hair is. So there is a line in here. She says, the little girl asks, do you think my hair will be as long as yours once it's trained? I asked her. Length doesn't matter, Mackenzie. Don't let anybody fool you. It's the health of your hair that counts. That is some good advice that I did not see in these other hair books, all these other little children's hair books. This got into the nitty gritty of it all. Some people are like, I just want my hair to be long and I don't care what costs I have to do. I don't care what I have to put in my hair to make it grow. Even if it's detrimental to my physical body, I just want my hair to grow. But you might lose your hair. You could flat iron your hair and stretch it out. You could put all these tight styles in there and stretch it out. But it's still, your hair still needs to have strength. It still needs to have healthy scalp, all these different things, because it is an indicator of your health. If you are taking good care of your hair and your hair is perfectly fine, and then one day it's not fine, that could be an indicator that something's going on with your health. Whereas if you're damaging it all the time, you won't be able to tell the difference if something is going on with your health because it's already damaged. So at this point, length doesn't matter. So now we're getting into the part about the hair being the garden. She says, Miss Tilly's backyard was a paradise with so many shades of green, bright pockets of colorful flowers and cool shades. So she's taking her to a place of peace away from all these crazy people and their foolishness and their colorism. God. So Miss Tilly says, she shows her a plant. In fact, she shows her a tree, a beautiful tree. And Miss Tilly said, 30 or more years ago, I put some seeds in the ground. I planted cuttings from neighbors' and friends' trees, bought a few plants and bulbs from catalogs. So she shows her this Japanese maple, and she says, she said that tree was a cutting. She said, oh, that was a weed thing at first. The phone company men came through the yard one day and trampled over it with their boots. So this is her Japanese maple that got trampled. And she said, little girl's like, what did you do? So she's like, I basically consistent. I was consistent. Which is what you have to do with your hair. It might not grow overnight. It might not grow like a week from now, but if you consistently work on anything, you will see results. If you consistently work on your body to get the body you want, you will get the body you want. If you consistently work on a subject that is difficult for you, one day, may not be today, may not be next year, but one day you are going to master that thing that you are putting energy towards. So she says, my hair is a garden, and like every good garden, it must be cared for every day. The nutrients in the soil can be stimulated and enriched. So she's pulling out the negative things that people are saying. It's too curly. Pull it back. Straighten it. Cut it off. Everything that I just mentioned earlier, that they say to little boys and little girls because they can't handle their hair. Maybe because it reminds the adult of their hair. Trying to project their insecurities onto a child. But look, at the very end, her hair grew. She says, Miss Tilly says, it's not what you start with in the garden that matters. It's the care, time, and attention you give to it. Hey! So, this is another part of the book that stood out from the other children's books, because even though the other children's books are like, oh, your hair is great. I love my hair. Did they tell you how to take care of it? No. Whereas this one, I'm sorry, I'm just like, I'm too intense right now. This one shows you how to shampoo, how to condition, seal in moisture, detangle, do protective styling, trimming, all that stuff. And it gives you recipes. Boom. Look at this. She gives you a rinse for your hair, and she also gives you moisturizing shea butter. So this is a winner. I'm going to keep this forever and forever and forever and forever and forever. And if I can find where the author is going to sign, I'm going to get her to sign my book. Just like I have to get Aretha Emmett Till signed by Marilyn Nelson. I can't wait to see what other books she puts out. I hope she puts out books that are similar to this, but I hope one is about this colorism. Even though this is about hair, I'd like to see one about colorism. So thank you for watching this video. At the end of it, I will be posting images of my hair when I was little, and also pictures of how I thickened my hair, grew it, all of that thing. So you know that when you invest time and energy and love into something, it will flourish and grow. When you invest love into anything, it will grow. Relationships, yourself, your education, everything. It'll grow in a positive way. So thank you, everyone, and have a beautiful reading. Bye bye.